How's it going, everybody? My name's Avid, and I have one question for you. If you could make this entire base without placing a single block, would you? I know I would. So in this video, I'm gonna show you how to use command blocks to make a bunch of the shapes in this base without you having to place a single block. We are gonna make towers and tubes, toroids, otherwise known as donuts, and two other shapes that you're going to have to stick around till the end of the video to see. So if you guys are ready for some awesome time lapses of command blocks creating some really cool shapes, then let's get started. All right, so the first shape we are going to build together today is the tower. And this one is super simple. All it takes are two command blocks, an armor stand that is not affected by gravity, and a name tag. In this case, I use the name tower stand. So you're gonna put your armor stand somewhere in the center of your tower, and you're going to hit it with that name tag to give it that name. Now, the two commands here are also really simple, and keep in mind, all of the commands are in the description of this video, so just sit back and relax, and you don't have to feel like you need to write them all down right now. The first command is a repeating command block that needs redstone, so that way I can turn it on with this lever. And there are a couple numbers here that are important. This 5 here is going to say how big the base of your tower is going to be. And so if you wanted to have a larger base, you would need to make sure you change both 5s. So let's say we want a radius of 9, then that would make the radius of the tower 9 blocks. And to change the height of your tower, you're going to change this 8 number to whatever you want the height of your tower to be. In this case, my height is 8 blocks. Finally, if you want to change the material, I imagine you're not making a tower out of purple wool, then you change this value here. The second command is solely responsible for rotating that armor stand. So that's it. So actually, let's just watch this thing go. So easy to make a tower. Look at that, and it's already done. Amazing. All right, so the next shape we are going to draw here is a cone. And if I'm honest, I think I've kind of made a breakthrough in armor stand drawing technology because this one is absolutely insane. The way it works is like my mind completely melts when I think about it. And all it takes is 5 commands. Now, the way this is kind of novel is that you specify the absolute top and center of your cone with one armor stand and name it cone stand. And then you can say wherever you want the base, the radius of the base, you just put another armor stand and you name it cone reference. So that means if you want to make a wider based cone, you put the armor stand a little bit further away. And what you'll see in a second is this line actually gets drawn in a circle all the way around this center armor stand. Now, this is absolutely perfect if you want to create towers and you're really bad at drawing roofs like I am. So this is one of those ways that you can use command blocks to do the work for you. So let's go ahead and start this thing up. And you can see it's starting to draw that cone. I mean, how amazing. I didn't even think this was gonna work. At first, my design was way more complicated, but then it just kind of clicked. And yeah, look at that. It's amazing. It's filling that cone out. So while this runs, there are a couple numbers that are important to keep in mind. The very last command here, basically you want to make sure that you are teleporting far enough away from this cone. So I chose a distance of 15. You kind of have to play around with the numbers. And the bigger your cone is, the greater this number has to be. Because what happens is when this lower armor stand meets that armor stand, it gets teleported back a certain number of blocks. And if that number isn't large enough, then it's not going to go all the way down to the ground. Now, if the number's too large, then it's going to go too far down too. So you do have to kind of play around with just this one number here. Everything else is totally plug and play and ready to go. So we could sit here and wait and watch this thing finish, but I think we need to go into a time lapse. So let's go check that out. And wow, that was actually a really amazing time lapse. And I am stuck inside of the hourglass that was created by this thing. But whoa, that is so cool. Look, the armor stands are still working hard. Holy cow, that turned out amazing. Wow, okay, let's turn this off here and move on to our next shape here. Tubes. They're kind of like towers, but on their side, if you really think about it. So the technology isn't all that different from our tower design over there. There's a couple of nuances based on if you're going in the Z direction or moving in the X direction, but otherwise, it's basically a tower on its side. So all you have to do is put down an armor stand where you want the center of your tube, And in this case, I named it tube stand. So let's just get this thing going and we can talk a little bit about it. I'm going to turn on hitboxes so you can see how it's working. Essentially, we point the head straight up. We then paint the tube, and then once the head reaches straight down, we move the tube in the direction that we want it to go. Really, really simple stuff. So if you wanted to change the diameter of this tube, then these two commands here, the repeat and the chain command, are the ones to go to. So if you want to make this, for instance, a 10 block radius, you would change both these numbers to 10, as well as make sure to change these two numbers to 10 as well, because we're painting both in front of the head of the armor stand and behind the armor stand. Now, if you wanted to move in the X direction, right now this is going in the negative Z direction, then the very last command is where you want to go. And I'm actually going to show that in the time lapse, so you can just use the command that I include in the time lapse to use these tubes in the X direction. So let's get right into that time lapse. Yeah, pipes are super cool, especially when you realize that you can make them out of different colors and intersect them. And imagine having a procedurally generated pipe dungeon or something like that. And using concrete makes it feel so arcadey, almost like Mario. Yeah, all right, so let's move on to our next shape. And that next shape, of course, is the delicious, the donut, the toroid, the torus, whatever you want to call it. This is actually a really complicated shape that we have been able to get in only a handful of command blocks. Definitely the most complicated of all of them so far, but still for what we get, it's not too complicated. So all you need is two armor stands, one that you have at the center of your torus, and you're going to name this toroid stand. Then you can put an armor stand anywhere and name that toroid reference. This one isn't like the cone where you can specify the width of the torus based on how far away the armor stands is. That, like I said, was magic technology that I will maybe one day harness and understand better. But this torus, all it's going to do, well, let's just take a look, is it's going to paint circles around this reference armor stand. And this center armor stand is responsible for rotating the reference armor stand around a circle. How cool, right? And so this torus is just going to go ahead and get itself built. And if we look at the F3B here, we can see it's drawing just like the pipe. So it's working exactly like the pipe does, except it's going around a circle. And there are two different ways to configure the torus. So the first one is to configure the outer diameter. So basically how big the entire torus itself is. And in order to do that, you're going to make a change to this very first command block here. You notice we have an outer diameter of 5. You can make this as big as you want. And then the other change is to change the actual noodle, you know, the inner part of the torus, this inner circle that's being drawn by the reference armor stand. And so that can be changed by these two blocks here. So the first one, you want to change both of these 3s over to another number. And you also want to make sure you make the corresponding change to the negative side of that as well. And that's how you can make configuration changes to the torus. Yeah, so there's definitely nothing tasty about a glass donut, but oh my gosh, a base that's a glass donut? Now, that is something I want in my world. How cool is this thing? I love this shape. This shape is so different, and you just never see people make things in Minecraft like this because the geometries are so difficult and challenging. I love that thing. All right, you guys have been waiting very patiently for, or you skipped ahead to the video, which, come on now, you gotta watch all the different shapes. But you guys have been waiting for the very last shape in this video, and I think this is probably the most exciting one. And of course, that shape is the Helix. For those who don't know what a Helix is, then just wait. They are so cool. And in fact, we're going to do a double helix for our time lapse, so stay tuned for that. All we have to do is, for the single helix, we have 2 armor stands. For the double helix, we have 3. And you're going to name the center helix stand. You're going to name the back armor stand helix back. And if you had a front, you'd name it helix front. Then all we're gonna do is turn this thing on. And the way this one works is kind of like a tower mixed with a toroid, but it's also moving in the Z direction. And so as this thing spins around in a circle, it's going to build up all the way to build height. And it's going to create an absolutely crazy, beautiful design. So, I can't wait to show you the double helix. So let's just get right into it. Oh my gosh, you guys. This is unbelievable. I'll be honest with you. This is the first time I have ever run this command. I had no idea how it was going to turn out. I just decided one of them was going to be a dark kind of pillar. The other was going to be a light one. And it looks like these two like light and dark dragons intertwining with each other. I feel like, I don't even feel like I'm in Minecraft right now. Look at that thing. Ha! And I didn't place a single block. That's right, I made command blocks work for me. We're smarter than Minecraft. Holy cow. Well, I hope that was worth the wait for you guys, because I cannot wait to look at that time lapse in the recording. I actually haven't seen it yet. I cannot wait to see it. Well, guys, I've got to say, today was an incredibly productive episode in command block learning. Look at all the stuff we made down below. Obviously, the double helix is probably my favorite, but I'd love to hear from you guys. Which one of these designs is your favorite? Let me know down in the comments. And if you want to see more of this content, please consider subscribing, leave a like. Anything really helps with the YouTube algorithm, so I really appreciate it, guys. And I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye!